Caleb Williams gets a just reward for reviving USC to national prominence. One miracle rally is all it took to promote Baker Mayfield to the starting quarterback with the Rams. And UCLA's hopes to win the Sun Bowl have greatly improved after Saturday's practice. Hi, I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos Morning Report. So it is December 11th, 2022. It is Sunday. It is the Lord's Day. Take a moment. Thank the Lord for what you have that's benefited your life, even the challenges. It's a wonderful thing. If you like the content we put out about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. It's why I created the show in the first place. Take a look at the scoreboard before we go through the news and notes. Yesterday, John Wall returned to Washington with the Clippers, but it was Paul George leading LA with 36 points. Clippers 114, Washington 107. Wall got 13, by the way. 4 different LA Kings score, including Anže Kopitar. That is Kings 4, Montreal 2. 19th ranked UCLA basketball defeated Denver 87-64. Jalen Clark scored 24 points for the Bruins. Meanwhile, today, the Chargers are going to face Miami on Sunday Night Football, 5-ish. There is a preview of that game on the Chargers playlist on this channel. Take a look at it. The Lakers are going to be at Detroit at 3 o'clock. If LA wins, that's a 3-3 road trip. It's not bad. And the Kings are in Columbus also at 3. Trevor Moore is on a pace to score 20 goals for the first time in his career with the LA Kings. But the big story is obvious. In football, rarely does one player make a difference. There are way too many variables. You're trying to get 11 people to function as one unit. But I must confess, there is no way I could have predicted USC returning to national power this swiftly if it weren't for one player, Caleb Williams. And the entire nation recognized it too. Even if they had East Coast bias, even if you lived in Oklahoma and despised everything about Lincoln Riley for taking Williams to LA. Even if voters went to sleep before Pac-12 after dark, they were so intrigued by what they were hearing about Williams to DVR his games and become convinced. That's how much Williams' force of will convinced the entire country that he deserved and in fact earned college football's highest honor, the Heisman Trophy. He's the third USC quarterback to win the award, along with Carson Palmer and Matt Leinart. Depending on your point of view, he is either the 7th or the 8th Trojan to win the title. We'll get to that in a moment. It's also as remarkable achievement for the Trojans coach, Lincoln Riley. This is his third Heisman winning quarterback in just 6 years as a head coach. Now, I realize how many awards the Trojans have won. That's a bit of a bugaboo. Many of you are going to consider this to be the 8th Heisman for the program, which would set USC apart from every other college. Having said that, USC's 2005 trophy was removed from the books. Look, I loved watching Reggie Bush. I don't have a problem with Reggie Bush. If you're a hater, though, and you come up to me and say the Trojans actually have 7, I honestly don't really have much of a desire to argue with you over it. But it would still tie the men of Troy with Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Ohio State with 7. Williams' statistical accomplishments, many of which set records at a school that was already known as a national power, pale in comparison to what he meant to the program itself. Recall, since Pete Carroll left Heritage Hall and returned to the NFL in 2010, USC had been grounded in scandal, poor undisciplined play, just a revolving door of coaches, and it was just a slow, painful descent all the way to irrelevance that reached its nadir under Clay Helton at 4-8 just 2 seasons ago. Riley and his coaching staff surely rebuilt the program behind the scenes, but when the spotlight was on, when the cameras were on, Williams was the visual proof that the Trojans were transformed back to national relevance. He had played under Riley at Oklahoma, clearly went there because he understood Riley's reputation for building elite quarterbacks. And on the field, as a sophomore in Southern California, Williams showed mastery of the air raid offense. The Trojans went 11-2, earned a New Year's Six bowl game. He picked up the slack for injured running back Travis Dye against rivals UCLA and Notre Dame, played through a hamstring injury in the Pac-12 title game. Now, we don't know with certainty that Williams is going to be able to play in the Cotton Bowl, by the way. He says he will. If he does, he could completely rewrite the USC record book for quarterbacks in just one season. But I got a question for you. Can Williams repeat? The other three finalists last night are leaving for the pros, but that does not make Williams a shoo-in. I want you to consider something. Only one person has ever won back-to-back Heisman trophies. That would be Archie Griffin of Ohio State. Way back in 1975, we're talking Watergate era. Defending Heisman winner Bryce Young was a preseason favorite, but Young didn't even make the final cut. So for Williams next season, we have to look. He will have options on offense, although it's likely Jordan Addison is going to leave for the NFL. Addison is a junior, former Biletnikoff Award winner. Some analysts believe he's going to be the top receiver taken in the draft. Even more important for Addison, USC is going to completely rebuild its offensive line. 4 of the 5 linemen that started were seniors this year. Williams also would possibly have to surpass the ridiculous stats that he put up. He passed for more than 4,000 yards. He passed for 37 touchdowns. He rushed for 10 more touchdowns. Maybe on top of the numbers, he definitely would have to get the Trojans into the college football playoffs. So, repeating, not a fait accompli, sir, or ma'am. Not a fait accompli. The Associated Press reports that Sean McVay is handing the keys of the offense over to Baker Mayfield, who authored a miracle rally against the Raiders on Thursday. McVay said Mayfield will start the Rams' final 4 games, which also means that even when Matthew Stafford comes off injured reserve for the last game of the year, he is unlikely to be activated. McVay just didn't say so. It just sounds like it. Mayfield had only one practice with the Rams prior to Thursday's game, but wound up completing 22 of 35 passes for 230 yards and a last-minute victorious touchdown. We discussed it yesterday, by the way, also with the Rams, but now sources are telling Chris Mortensen of ESPN that offensive coordinator Liam Cohen is heading back to Kentucky to take a similar job with the Wildcats. Cohen was the Kentucky offensive coordinator before coming here and playing a significant role in the defending champs' demise. How much of a role? We're just going to have to go through the autopsy of the team at the end of the year. Still, if you thought the Rams' offense was terrible this year, and it was, understand that Kentucky fell to 106th in the nation in scoring last season without Cohen. In addition, assistant coaches Rashad Samples and Jake Peets are reported to be leaving LA to coach college ball. Peets will coach quarterbacks for Nebraska. Samples is going to head for Arizona State and coordinate the passing game. Quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson and running back Zach Charbonnet both practiced with the Bruins on Saturday, which means the 18th ranked Bruins are likely to have both available against Pitt in the Sun Bowl. Likely to have them in the Sun Bowl. Thompson-Robinson previously said he wanted to consult with family and others before deciding if he would opt out of the game. And by the way, Thompson-Robinson was not made available to the media after the practice. But if he and Charbonnet play, well, the Bruins would hold a tremendous advantage over the Panthers. Players at Pitt have decided to opt out of the game, either for the transfer portal or to go into the NFL draft, including Pittsburgh quarterback Keaton Slovis, who used to play over at USC. He's going to enter the transfer portal and avoid the Sun Bowl. Also for UCLA, defensive coordinator Bill McGovern. He had missed 5 games. He was at practice. As you know, behind me is the dry erase board of players the Dodgers are allegedly interested in, according to the national media. It got as high as 27. It's now down to 17. We can wipe both Kevin Kiermaier and Japanese pitching prospect Kodai Senga off of the list. Senga has signed with the Mets. Kiermaier signed with the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, Kiermaier obviously is the only one with the major league experience. I have seen him play live because I used to, for a couple of years, I lived in Florida. He's terrific with the glove. Other than that, he's kind of meh. Also, there appear to be 3 finalists for shortstop and known cheater, Carlos Correa. The Dodgers are allegedly not one of them. Now, I don't spend a lot of time covering teams outside of Los Angeles, obviously, but since the Padres are in the same division, I feel compelled to tell you that San Diego has reportedly offered Aaron Judge a 14-year contract for $400 million before Judge re-signed with the Yankees. 14 years. At the end of it, he'd be 44 years old. Now, look, I say this for 2 reasons. One, these stories are giving me more reasons to believe that LA did the right thing by standing pat and not going crazy to try to sign people until they're AARP eligible, right? The other reason is if you look at the Padres roster, which was supposedly just a couple of years ago, young and exciting. Just 2 years ago, young and exciting. Slam Diego. The Padres went nuts. Manny Machado is going to be 38 when his deal is over. Xander Bogaerts will be 40 when his deal is over. Had Judge signed, he would be 44 years old by the time his deal was over. My wife is extremely younger than I am. I thought she was the only one who got aroused by middle-aged men. Turns out it's the Padres front office. We all have our kinks. Who knew that it was going to be AJ Preller down in San Diego? Would it be fair to ask again if the Clippers have been too cautious about their injured players? Now, I don't know where the line needs to be drawn between, say, what the player wants, what the front office or the coaching staff wants, what the medical staff suggests. But in terms of fame, street cred, whatever, the Clippers' big 3 are clearly Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and John Wall. Those are the reasons you buy the ticket, right? All 3 have missed major time this year, multiple games due to injury. As a result, that puts even more of a burden on players such as Reggie Jackson, Marcus Morris, Norman Powell. The Clippers are 15-13, and that is after Saturday's win. That is hardly the record of the championship contender that we were told the Clippers were. So again, are they just being a little bit too cautious? I don't know. You tell me. Tight end Richard Rodgers was placed on injured reserve, effectively ending his season. You have to be on that list for 4 weeks. There are 5 games left in the Bolts schedule. They added defensive back Keeman Hall to the roster, and that leads me to believe that Derwin James isn't playing tonight. He hasn't officially been ruled out, but if you add a defensive back, that might wind up being your answer. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Tell me when you knew Caleb Williams was the real deal. Tell me what you think about Dorian, Thompson-Robinson, and Charbonnet practicing. Or Baker Mayfield after 1 game becoming the Rams starting quarterback. There's a lot to discuss. And if you enjoy talking LA sports, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We talk LA sports here every single day. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back later tonight with a rapid recap of Chargers football. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care. Bye-bye.